Hi everyone, welcome to another episode. And today we have Stefano with us, who is a vegan and animal rights activist, also big time into fitness. He is a calisthenics coach, and most importantly, he breaks the narratives around vegans being weak and vegans being soy boys. So that is a great contribution from Stefano's end. And today we will learn about his journey as a vegan, as an animal rights activist, and also learn a thing or two about plant based fitness. So, thank you so much, Stefano, for joining today. I hope you are doing well. And in addition to what I said, if you would like to give a brief introduction about yourself for the viewers who are not aware.
I'll definitely do that. First of all, thank you for having me. I love the work, your work, and vegan fiti, FTA in general. They've been very consistent in speaking up for animals. And when it comes to me, well, I like to be an activist first, right, before anything else. And I've been on a plant-based diet for 6 years, but the connection with the animals was done 4 years ago, and from that moment I also decided to be an animal rights activist, and through my business as a coach for vegan men, I also talk a lot about animals. So yeah, I had this very special opportunity to being able to do activism through my business as well. And thank you for saying that I'm breaking the weak vegan stereotype. You actually don't know, because on my Instagram you get everything. Oh, this guy is on steroid. Oh, this guy is skinny. You're
Yeah.
just lean. Yeah, you don't know. The haters go all over the place.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even if you become the most elite athlete, even then you will get hate for being a vegan. So can't
Yeah.
help that. But yes, for the sensible people, you are definitely one of those folks out there who's breaking this nonsensical myth that you are that anyone who is on a plant-based diet is weak. So you went on a plant-based diet 6 years back, and then it took you a couple of years to learn about veganism and animal rights activism, which is very similar to my journey as well. So why did you venture into plant-based diet?
So it's definitely an interesting story. I was traveling Asia. So I did Philippines, Thailand, Cambodia, and Laos. And while I was in Laos, I had food intoxication, classic. And so I couldn't travel. So I had some free time. I also been stupid enough to, instead of leaving, all the fluid just going out together with the infection, I went to a pharmacy and took some medicines to stop the diarrhea. So I got worse, and more fever, and I felt very bad. But anyway, something that I noticed while I was traveling is that humans are destroying the environment. So in Europe, you don't have the same visuals that tells you that. So in Europe, I think maybe there's more law enforcement, more regulation. So they hide the pollution, right? They hide the waste and the damage that humans do to the environment. But when I traveled Philippines and Cambodia and Laos, I saw a lot of rivers that were very polluted with a lot of rubbish in it. There were even sometimes purple from the chemicals. And so that left me thinking about what's going on with the environment. And so while I was intoxicated, and I was not feeling good, and I couldn't move from my room, I decided to research a little bit more. and I ended up watching Cowspiracy, and that's it. This is how I realized that animal agriculture was the main cause of environmental destruction, and I didn't want to have anything with it, and this what motivated me to basically go 100% plant-based. I was really not having animal products. At the beginning, my intention for some reason, don't know why, was to be pescatarian and eat only fish.
Hmm. And
But
and before this plant-based thing happened, were you a full time like you were consuming animal products on a daily basis?
yeah,
Okay.
definitely, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And so yeah, I wanted to be pescatarian at the beginning and eating fish. Probably because I've never been like someone that really enjoys meat, but I did enjoy fish a lot, and prawns and seafood. So maybe that's the reason why I, I was thinking that I still wanted to eat fish and sea animals. But then again, I had a moment in which there was this boat. I think we were going to Koh Tao in Thailand, the small island in Thailand, and there was this boat that had the engine on, and you could see the black smoke coming out of the exhaust and going directly into the sea. And also that image remembered me that also the water had to be respected. So I decided no, that's also not something that I'm going to eat. However, I was mostly plant-based, but for me, um, since I was doing a lot, I was doing enough compared to the average person. I would allow myself to have seafood because it was the thing that I miss the most when it comes to taste, a couple of times per year, like during Christmas period and New Year's time. So this is where I was at when I was plant-based for the
Hmm.
environment.
Interesting. So, first and foremost, a shout out to the Cowspiracy team for creating awareness for someone like you who has now become such a big influencer. So you see like how one thing changes and it can have such a good ripple effect. And this was 6 years back. So you quit animal flesh, but you were consuming fishes, seafood on a like once or twice in a year or so. And then
Yeah.
what happened? Like
Yeah.
why did you decide to quit eating fish?
Um, so I was a personal trainer, in-person personal trainer in London, and COVID hit. So the gym closed, and I lost all my clients. And after a month that happened, I started to look at how to build my business online.
Hmm.
It's been very difficult. And after 6 months, I decided to ask for help. So I hired a business coach.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I learned is that once you start marketing yourself online, you really need to express yourself to the fullest and share your values. So, I thought I was vegan. Okay, I would present myself as someone who is vegan, right? So now I started this conversation presenting myself as someone who was plant-based, but at the time, while I was plant-based for the environment, I would say that I was vegan for the environment.
That is so
Now we know
interesting.
it's not possible. Yeah.
Yeah. So in in your head, you thought that you are already a vegan.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I thought.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, and so I wanted to research what vegans are doing online to understand a little bit more about veganism, because after Cowspiracy, I didn't research anything else. I mean, I did research other things, but they were all going into the environmentalism direction. So I was discovering more and more things around how humans are destroying the environment. And so I started this research around veganism, and I think the first videos I found were Joy Carpstrong. I'm pretty sure that Joy Carpstrong was the first thing that I found. At the time, Joy Carpstrong was having his usual debates with people in the street. Um, if you're not a vegan, you abuse animals. That was the phrase that he had on the table, I think. And
mm,
also, he doesn't do it anymore, but he was putting on the YouTube video also the footage of slaughterhouses while he was having the debates.
mm,
And that was the perfect setup for me because I am, and this is a stereotype for vegans. Uh, you might, I think that people have this idea that vegans are more emotional and softer in some way.
mm,
But actually, I'm not a very empathetic person.
mm,
I don't really relate to other people emotions
mm,
easily.
mm,
And so, and also when I was young, I've seen a lot of family farms. So I watched chickens and rabbits being slaughtered, and I mean, it was just normal. And this is what was the norm around me.
mm,
Um, and I remembered that, yeah, I always perceived the slaughter of these animals as something normal. Seeing them inside of cages was
mm,
something normal for me. And this is another thing. Often people think, "Oh, family farms." Yeah, family farms are horrible.
mm.
They still put animals into small cages.
Yeah.
Um, and I did remember though one time a farmer forced me to watch him slaughtering a pig, and that was very distressful. It was like I was 6 years old,
Mm,
and my mom was there, and he kind of screamed to my mom, was like, "Come here, come here! The the boy needs to watch this," you know, okay, forcing me to watch a murder of a pig. That's the
mm,
society we live in. Crazy.
mm,
Um, but anyway, so my brain was conditioned to really think that animals are here for us, right?
mm,
And I wouldn't say that I was an animal lover.
mm,
So, and I definitely thought that animals were I didn't see them as individuals. And this is the connection that Joy Carpstrong helped me make. So with really simple words, it changed completely the way I looked at animals. Like it just reminded me that they are different. They don't have hands. They don't speak like us. They are hairy, but behind those eyes there is a person. This simple concept really helped me to see animals in a different way.
mm,
And together with Dominion, after
mm,
that, I think I watched immediately Dominion because I think he was promoting the movie Dominion. So
mhm,
that's why I connected directly to it. Um, and so this is where I had an emotional reaction. So I've been feeling very sad about what was happening to these vulnerable and innocent individuals. Obviously, me already being on a plant-based diet, basically, um, I really realized that that was completely unnecessary, right? And it felt very sad to me. I also adopted Nina, the dog that I have now. Uh, she's also on a plant-based diet, and she was just chilling on the sofa while I was watching Dominion.
mm,
And I remember in the footage that was going, there were these pigs in farrowing crates, and they looked very sad. And so I was kind of comparing Nina on the sofa, just chilling and just being with those pigs. that are the same and also want to be like Nina and chilling on the sofa, and they don't want to be suffering and being forced to be in those cages for weeks and weeks and weeks, uh, just in pain and
Hmm.
confused.
Hmm.
So that
Exactly.
made me very sad. So,
Hmm.
and that's important for me, that the fact that I was sad and that I had an emotional reaction, because I'm not a very emotional person. I don't cry often. I don't get
Hmm.
emotional
Hmm.
often, and so the fact that it happened, it meant a lot to me,
Hmm.
and that's why I was super motivated to also become an animal rights activist. In the same moment, like I made the decision to go vegan, right? So
Hmm.
make them. I understood that being plant based 99.9% of the
Hmm.
time was not enough, right? Because
Hmm.
um, it's not about reducing
Great.
the amount of animal products that you eat,
Hmm.
but it's about respecting animals and never use them
Hmm.
for your benefit. And so I
Hmm.
went vegan during COVID, and I decided to become an animal rights activist.
Yeah, and you have been doing it very boldly, and great to know that someone inspired you to think from the victim's perspective, and your companion animal also helped you in that process. One thing very interesting you mentioned, that vegans are perceived as emotional, and we are supposed to be additionally emotional to become a vegan, which is not the case. Like in your uh, example as well, you just saw something which is an injustice, which is wrong, and you decided that this is not something you have to stand for. And people can just imagine this in a way that even the person who may consider himself or herself as the most unemotional being will still stand up for, let's say, if a human being is being exploited, or a child is being exploited, right? I think being vegan is just that. You don't have to be additionally emotional or empathetic to anyone. You just have to be not ignorant and just see the reality for what it is. Like you rightly said, that when you saw your companion animal and you saw those pigs, and you thought that they also want to just chill like your friend, because at the end of the day they are all individual independent beings, and that is so powerful. And now you are like such a vocal activist for the animals. In fact, I noticed that you have a tattoo on your face. What does that say?
Animal defender. Can you read it?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
but that was the first one though.
yeah, I see that one.
Vegan.
Vegan. So like, I think tattoo is such a strong expression, and you have that on your face. Like, can you tell us a bit about this story? Like, what when was that moment when you thought that, okay, this is such a part of my personality? Okay, being a vegan, being an animal rights advocate is one thing, but wearing it like how you are doing it, uh, can you share some story behind that?
Well, 100%. First of all, the first one, the vegan on the neck, was inspired by Joy Carbstrong, right? Because he has vegan behind his ear.
Yes, yeah.
It was a smaller one, so I had to do it bigger. And and I knew I wanted to do this tattoo from from that exact moment that I decided I was going to do animal rights activism. And the cool story about the vegan tattoo is that I really, really wanted to get it before my first action with Anonymous for the Voiceless. I was like, and so I got the tattoo like 3 days before, and I was kind of rushing the tattoo shop to get me this tattoo and make it. Um, and likely all the material they had was vegan for the tattoo. I mean, I made sure that I found a tattoo shop that had vegan equipment to make the tattoo. And Anonymous for the Voiceless has one policy in which you should not have any vegan message right on your t-shirt. And so when I went to the event, that was one of the first things that the organizer told me. It was like, you cannot have any vegan message, pointing at my tattoo. I was like, what you want me to do, man? Like, I cannot take it off. And so what I've noticed though, after 1 year of activism, after my first year or more, let's say 1 year and a half of activism, what you realize talking to people about veganism and living as a vegan is that people do not know what veganism is. They think it's something, some kind of extreme diet. They think that you're weird. They mix it up with health and environment. And that's why I wanted to clarify. And I decided to tattoo Animal Defender on the face, make it clear that, that's what I'm doing. I'm here to defend animals, not for anything else. Um, and yeah, and also like for me, I felt comfortable at the time um, to have a face tattoo, and decided that this was going to be my first one.
Interesting. Yeah, looks very strong actually.
Thank you.
So, just wanted to understand a bit about your fitness journey. So, you have been on a plant based diet, almost on a plant based diet, 100% plant based diet for 4 years, but almost on a plant based diet for 6 years. But you have been into fitness for how long? 15 years, I guess?
Yes, I started around 15 years old, and now I'm 31.
Hmm. All right. So, when you switch to a plant based diet, how was your experience? Like, did you feel weak or did you feel good, light? What was your experience? Did you lose muscle? Did you gain muscle?
But I actually gained muscle because together with switching to a plant-based diet, I also got more serious about training.
Hmm?
Not that I wasn't before, but I was perhaps more inconsistent in my journey. I also went through a period of lower back pain in which I couldn't train, so I definitely lost muscle there.
Hmm?
Um, but yeah, I kind of started to do a plant-based diet and be much more serious and consistent with training at the same time, because I started calisthenics as well. I went on a plant-based
Hmm.
diet and started calisthenics. And so definitely, yeah, as I approached a plant-based diet, I built muscle. The one thing that I noticed the most from approaching a plant-based diet is that I stopped getting as sick as I was before.
Hmm.
I have, I was a sick kid. I have asthma. I went to hospital for, bronchopulmonitis when I was a kid, and I was getting sick at least once per year. Most of the time, 2 or 3, and it was never light. It was always high fever, antibiotics, 1 week at home. Uh, and this is what happened when I went on plant-based diet, is that I didn't get sick anymore. I got sick during I got COVID, but apart from COVID, I didn't really get sick in the last 6 years. And when I did get sick, I finally managed to experience just being slightly sick, without fever, just a little bit of flu. I never experienced that before. It was always bad fever and just being in bed for a whole week. So my metabolism got stronger for sure. I kept, I had no problem getting stronger and building muscle. I must say though, that I had a period in which I was struggling with energy levels in the beginning. this seed in the beginning, and
Was it
I
because
had
was it because you were eating lesser calories?
yes, exactly. It was for from eating less calories, but it took me a couple of months to understand that, and I went through because together with going plant-based, I I also realized all the health issues that are related
Hmm.
to eating animal products. So I kind of pushed it to the extreme, trying
Hmm.
to eat more fruits, more vegetables, kind of eliminating grains. I was eating more potatoes, and so I was eating. Yeah, I wasn't eating enough calories,
Yeah. That
but I didn't know that, and I went through
that
a period of low energy levels and
that is one
brain
mistake
fog.
that yeah, that is one mistake I believe a lot of people make who become vegan, because plant-based food, they are so heavy in volume that if we are just guided by our hunger levels, we end up eating lesser calories. So I also experience the same, and I know a lot of folks who do that.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Actually, it's very important for me to send this message right now. Like, just make sure that you eat enough calories.
Mm,
That's actually one of like the most important nutrition tips that I can give you. Like, make sure that you know what's your caloric intake and
mm,
stick to your caloric target,
mm,
because whether it's optimizing your energy levels, feeling good to get stronger, and or losing fat is going to solve all of these problems. Just eating enough calories.
mm. So once you learned about your mistake, and it was like for a couple of months, and then you learned about it, and then you revamped your diet.
Yeah, I started to eat more because basically I was very active, right? I was a personal trainer, standing all day, and then I was training on top of that,
Mhm.
1 hour and a half, 2 hours. I was burning a lot of calories. I was probably eating only 2,000 calories per day, and I was burning 3,000, 3,500 of probably probably more. So I started to eat 3,500 calories per day, and after like few days, I
Yeah.
started to feel better. During this period, I had a libido problem as well. Like,
Oh.
and my girlfriend at the time was starting to doubt if I was attracted to her because I was just not getting horny. I didn't want to have sex, and
Mhm.
it was more mental than physical because I was so tired of feeling tired that I was like, man, I just want to feel good, and the
Mhm.
thought of having sex, it would make me even more tired. So I don't want to have sex. Um, and yeah, I remember like as soon as I started to eat more calories, like 2 days of consistency with my calories, I started to feel better. And the weekend of the week, as I remember, we had sex multiple times in the
Mm,
day, and she was like, what happened? And I told you that there was something wrong with me. I was not feeling good,
mm,
and it was all because I wasn't eating enough calories. And I also want to say about this story that at the beginning I was starting to kind of listening to the voices from non-vegans, right? Oh yeah, you vegans are malnourished. You cannot get all of the nutrients. And so I was kind of believing all of these stories because I wasn't feeling good. But obviously, I didn't want to give up because I knew there are people that are thriving on it. So there was something that was wrong that I could fix. But I thought there might be a case of not getting some vitamins and some minerals. So I got a blood test,
mm.
and the blood test was fine. So it was not the problem.
So essentially, the problem was that you were consuming lesser calories, which
Yeah,
led to lesser energy levels, and which led to poor performance on bed.
yeah.
Yeah. Now the whole thing is sorted. And are you still dating the same person, if I may ask?
Complex story.
Okay, we'll skip that then.
Let's say no. No, let's say no. No.
Okay, no worries, no worries. So,
Yeah.
and you said that this is one of the most important advice that you would like to give people, that to track your calories and see what you are eating. And this is something I also tell a lot of people who are just turning vegan or have just become vegan, that essentially just see what you were eating earlier and convert it into calories and ensure that at the very least you are consuming that amount of calorie, and at the very least have similar levels of macro distribution. Of course you can better it from there, but yeah, ensure that you are consuming that much calorie. But as a fitness expert, if you have to give like top 3 advice to vegans who are just getting serious about their health and fitness journey, what are they going to be?
Um, well, let's start from protein.
Okay.
So, my first advice is that you should stop worrying about protein. This whole thing of protein started in 1900 from the meat and dairy and egg industry. They wanted to sell you more products. They start saying that to be strong, you need to eat protein, and they had the protein to sell you, and the whole world kind of bought these marketing strategy, and here we are. But you don't need to overstress about protein. First of all, like if you're eating a variety of plant foods, you will easily hit even higher amount of protein. Like if you make sure that you eat legumes and vegetables throughout the day, a couple, for your main meals, you can easily get to 100 gram plus of protein per
Yeah.
day,
I mean,
no problem.
that is an important point, Stefano, because you said that while people do not need to worry about proteins, I know a lot of folks who actually consume lesser proteins, including some vegans as well. So, would you like to just give a very basic reference point that how much protein one should consume on a daily basis?
Well, no, here's the thing, that the example that I just gave is kind of in line with what most fitness influencer would suggest, which
Hmm.
is, especially if you're into fitness, you want to build muscle, you want to stay around 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. But I personally have approached a high in fruit diet. Um, so now is almost 1 year that I have followed the diet that is high in fruit, and fruit is naturally lower in protein, and that gets me to eat less than 70 grams of protein per day. So I'm closer to like 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. But to be honest, I would be happy with eating less protein and more fruit. The reason why I don't do it is because, yes, it's not fully sustainable for me to organize a 100% fruit-based diet.
Hmm.
But yeah, like really don't worry about protein. You should be worried about the health outcomes of the food you choose,
Hmm.
right? And if you organize your diet based on your protein intake, you kind of have the opposite effect. Because how many vegans and fitness influencers and coaches actually suggest fake meats, protein shake,
Hmm.
processed food in general in order for you to increase your protein intake,
Hmm.
right? Instead, if you eat fruit, which is even scientifically, it's been proven to decrease all cause mortality risk, it kind of pushes you away from getting more protein. So these two things actually kind of don't go together.
Hmm.
And so that's why I say do not worry about protein. Instead, eat more of what's the healthiest food that you can include into your diet, which is
Hmm.
fruit. and just focus on, yeah, less processed food,
Hmm.
less chemicals, and less supplements, more
Hmm.
fruit and vegetables.
Hmm.
And
But still,
so the
just to clarify on the protein point before we proceed further, um, you are still saying that you are personally consuming zero point 0.8 into your body weight in kgs, so approximately 70 grams of protein that is you are consuming at this stage. But you're also saying that even if someone wants to consume what is known as the typical fitness range, which a lot of influencers and nutritionists talk about, is going as high as 1.5 times your body weight in kgs. That is also acceptable and possible, easily possible on a plant-based diet.
Yeah, I was doing it. I was
Hmm.
doing it with no problem.
Hmm.
As long as you basically easily get there by having grains and legumes in your main meals,
Hmm.
that's going to make the bulk of
Hmm.
your protein.
Hmm.
And I have never had protein shakes neither during my life on a plant-based diet.
Interesting, man. Interesting. And earlier, just to uh, get clarity on this, when you were, let's say, 10 years back, when you were on an animal based diet and you were still into fitness, what was the average amount of protein that you were consuming on a daily basis?
Well, I've never calculated it, but apart from breakfast, there was usually milk and chocolate cookies. My morning snack was a sandwich with like 200 grams of tuna.
Hmm.
And then I was always a hungry kid, so I would go to the school bar and buy another sandwich with chicken. And
Hmm.
then for lunch, I would have maybe a burger, two
Hmm.
burgers with pasta and pesto, and then like evening snack would be again one or two sandwiches with maybe 200 grams of cured meat,
Hmm.
like chicken or something else,
Hmm.
ham, and then in the evening perhaps the white of the eggs with bread and spinach.
Hmm.
That is
So you,
a lot
a
of pro.
lot.
I don't know how much protein is that, but I think that's a lot of protein.
I mean, probably more than 120, close to 150 grams of protein. And I guess, again, if we'll have to sit with the numbers, probably 3,000 calories, if not, definitely 2,500 calories plus. So, yeah, you were consuming a lot of protein and also on high on calorie, but now you have reduced that significantly. And you still feel that you are having muscle gains as well.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and I've actually tracked it. Is not it's not a feeling. Obviously, like people who don't understand about strength training should know that what you see online is not 100% true true in the sense that they make you think that this muscle building thing is some endless curve that
Hmm.
goes on forever. You can get huge like some of these guys um, look on IG, but most of them are on steroids or they have amazing genetics. But there is a ceiling to the amount of muscles that you can build as
Hmm.
a natural lifter. So with that in mind, and obviously after so many years, I have hit my natural ceiling. I do take measurements. So I weigh myself in the morning, and I
Hmm.
do the average over five days, and then I measure my abdominal fat with the caliper once per week, and
Hmm.
from that I calculate my lean mass. So yeah, my lean mass, and yeah, I've noticed an upward curve. So
Hmm.
we can actually, you know. say that I've been building some muscles since I went on a
Hmm.
fruit-based diet.
Interesting. Interesting. And you are muscular, and at the same time, you have a pretty low body fat percentage as well.
Low body fat. I'm a bit fatter than usually. I don't
Yeah, I mean, you're saying that you are a bit fatter than usually, but please, that sounds really arrogant when you put it like that. For the rest of us, like that would be our dream body fat percentage. But yeah, that looks
Yeah,
really.
no, I know, I know.
But then, do you like do people troll you by saying that, hey, you are on a plant based diet, you're a vegan, you are weak, but you still look like the way you do because you are on steroids? Do people uh, allege?
Yeah, yeah, they do. They do,
Yeah,
they do.
yeah.
Absolutely. But
Like,
like I troll them back. I troll them back, and it's cool to see that. Sometimes I even see non-vegans that kind of comment under my post where I'm flexing or whatever, or there's a lot of hate around my physique that actually comment like people is actually crazy thinking that this guy is small or he hasn't built muscles or whatever.
oh, that's the troll on the other side of the spectrum. So on one side, people are telling you that, hey, he's on steroids, and on the other side, people are saying that, hey, he doesn't have enough muscles. Is that the
Yeah,
thing? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. People actually become crazy about what a person can look naturally, and because of so much abuse of anabolics and the way Instagram has manipulated the masses into believing what people look like. Yeah, so I mean, that's absolutely crazy. I was seeing this post or a video from someone the other day that um, Brad Pitt in this movie called Fight Club, at that time his
yeah.
physique was hi- that physique was considered iconic in lean muscle, and by today's standard people will even troll that physique saying, hey, do you even lift? Right? So I mean, the standards of what people perceive as muscular body has changed as well, with so much of fakeness on social media. But yeah, coming back to the, sorry, you were saying something.
No, yeah, you brought up a good point, but I just wanted to remind people who have this distortion of what's actually needed to look good. I want to remind you that the real life is different than Instagram, in the sense that, okay, maybe if you compare yourself on Instagram, you look nowhere close
Hmm.
to these huge super shredded guys. But in real life, if you get fit, you build some muscle and you lose some fat, you're probably going to be uh, better looking and more attractive than your whole family and most of your friends,
Yeah.
right? So remember that the Instagram is one thing, but if you get fit in real life, you will be enjoying your progress.
Absolutely. Yeah, Instagram has really distorted the reality from that sense. But coming back to the advice, so you talked about protein. So first advice to vegans is not to worry about protein in terms of quantity, as long as you are having food from variety of good sources, not a lot of processed food. What other advice?
Yeah, well, the other advice is is related, but I want to evidence the importance of increasing your fruit intake.
Hmm?
To put it simple, fruit is our species specific food. We are primate. It doesn't matter how much non-vegans think they are lions and therefore it's okay to eat meat.
Hmm.
We are indeed primate, and fruit is the food that's going to be easier to digest for us. And when you do increase your fruit intake, okay, it's just like it's different steps of the pyramid, right? So you go from an animal-based diet to a plant-based diet that is not highly processed, and it's based on whole food, and you start feeling better, right? For me, I got less sick, my energy levels were better. But if you keep climbing and focus more on fruits, and when I say focus more on fruits, I'm talking about eating 10 plus pieces of fruit per day. When you get there, you get to the next level. Your energy levels will be even better than they were before. And overall, this is also in line with some of the discovery that has been done in the China study. Uh,
Hmm.
that is the fact that the lower incidence of diseases happen when you have a diet that has an intake of fat below 10%.
Hmm.
And the only way to get your fat intake that low is by eating a lot of fruit and vegetables. So increase your fruit intake. That's my next tip.
And any
And third
and,
one,
before we proceed, any specific fruits that you would like to talk about? Like, okay, these are definitely the one.
well, look, I am not necessarily the expert here. I learned from others. So the author of the 80-10-10 book
Hmm.
suggests that you eat whatever is fresh and available close to you when possible, right?
Hmm.
The freshest, the better.
Hmm.
So eat seasonal fruit if you can. Eat from places that are close to where you live.
Hmm.
And also yesterday I was talking with another expert in this topic, and I asked her like what she thinks about bananas because I eat a lot of bananas, and she answered me, look, like any fruit is good, like whatever. You don't have to be specific about your fruit choice. Just
Hmm.
eat more fruit.
Hmm. Interesting. And also, you mentioned about the China study. For the viewers, please have a look at that study. That's one of the longest study that has been done. There's also a book written on the study as well, which talks about the long-term impact of having a plant-based diet. Also, the other book that you mentioned, that is called 80-10-10.
Yes.
Okay. Uh, okay. First, you complete your next advice, and then I will show you a video, and I would like your opinion on that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds fun. Let's choose my third advice. Um, yeah, stop eating and using oils. Like, don't do it. Like, if especially if you're someone who wants to lose fat and wants to be shredded, each spoon of oil is 120 calories.
Hmm.
Like, you are really wasting calories there. You can eat a fruit. You can eat an apple instead of cooking with oil. You can cook with water.
Hmm.
And in general, I have a simple approach to diet that says that the closest is to its whole form, the better. So
Hmm.
if we are in line, if we follow these concepts, oil is not a good source of fats. The good source of fats is going to be the olives themselves. Okay,
Hmm.
so move away from processed food, and this oil is also a processed food, and you will see that also by eliminating oil and perhaps integrating other foods inside of your diet instead to substitute those calories, like for example an extra apple or two
Hmm.
extra apples, you will feel more satiated, and it will
Hmm.
help you to stay leaner. Just to Because people are really interested in losing fat and losing weight. So,
Hmm.
and now it's already 1 year, right, that I'm doing this diet in which I am prioritizing fruit. And the practical thing that happened with my weight is this. Before, uh, every time I would do a deficit and try to lose fat, I will regain weight and kind of stay around 86, 87 kilograms. Now
Hmm.
that I eat more fruits, for me
Hmm.
it's much easier to stay around 82 kilograms, 83 kilograms.
And how tall are
Okay.
you?
174. I'm short.
174 centimeters.
Yeah.
Okay. Hmm.
And so yeah, so really fruit helped me do that because I'm eating more quantity, but is a lower in calories dense food compared
Hmm.
to bread, for
Hmm.
example, or legumes.
Hmm.
Yeah, it really helped me. And also the other thing, I'm someone that's always munching around. I always want to eat really. And now that I go to fruits instead of bread and hummus, for example, I'm
Hmm.
eating something that is lower in calories, has got more water, more fibers, and
Hmm.
satiate me and fills me up more.
Hmm. Interesting. And I just did the conversion. You are close to 5 feet 8 inches.
Mm.
So, and you're 82 kgs right now. So you are like a huge person if in real life, if I see you.
Well, I'm 80 right now. I'm more like 83 kilograms. Um, I wasn't eating very well during the last week. Maybe I'm even 84. I don't know. I didn't weigh myself,
Yeah, I mean, that's okay.
but
Still,
yeah,
still,
yeah.
still that range 83, 84 with 5 feet 8 inches tall. And you have abs as well. So I'm assuming that your body fat percentage is around less than 12%, if I'm not wrong.
It's probably so. My abdominal fat measurement
Yeah.
last Friday was 12.5 millimeters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that would be in body fat percent, which these measurements are never exact, but we could say maybe 14%. My abs are bulky as well.
Mm.
So I
Genetic.
have I like yeah, genetically have these bulky
Uh,
abs. So even if I have a little bit more fat, you can see them and they look very good when I'm shredded. Yeah,
mm.
but
And
yeah, I can tell you that when I went to Vegan Life Festival, have you heard of this festival?
no,
So they actually told me that they were surprised that I actually looked like muscular, in real life.
they said that you look bigger, right? Big and muscular.
Yeah.
You have to look big and muscular for like at your height with that much weight and with that lesser levels of body fat. That is uh, elite level stuff there for sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Just for reference sake, like how big is your arm? No, I mean in terms of
Ah,
size.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. I never measured it. I mean, I did it once, very long time, because I wanted to see if my left and right measured
Yeah.
the same. Because like my left is a little smaller. I don't know
Yeah.
if you can see.
Can't make out here,
But
but
actually,
left. Yeah. No,
so
no.
no, I
Say.
don't know. I don't know the measurement.
Okay. No, can't make out that it's imbalance, but I think there is some imbalance in everyone's arm. Even in my arms, like my right arm is slightly smaller than my left arm. So, and I asked this to one of the trainers here, and it's they said that it's a very normal thing here. Like with a lot of folks, that is the case. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
I'm I'm sure that you look much bigger than you look on social media for sure. So essentially, to summarize the three tips that you gave, one is to not worry about protein, but yeah, do consume from a lot of sources. And second thing is to consume as much fruits as possible, seasonal fruits. And the third thing is to be mindful of how much oil one is consuming, because like you said, they are very calorie dense, and you sometimes people don't
No, take
realize
it
it.
away.
Take
Remove
it,
it.
remove it. Okay, remove it. Yeah, yeah. If you want to
No
look
need
like
oil.
that, Yeah, if you want to look like that, then yeah, you have to go to that extreme of removing it as well. I wanted to talk about supplements, but before that, because you talked so much about fruits, so I'm going to present my screen. Moment.
The vegans.
Plants and blah, 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 blah. This is the stomach acid of these different species. Humans are 1.5. We are just barely above a vulture. Our stomachs are more acidic than a dog and a cat, than a wolf and a lion. We also can't digest plants in our gut. We don't have the right bacteria in our guts to break down cellulose, and we don't have a hind gut. We have the perfect gut for breaking down meat. The vegans that tell you you have the right.
So that was just one of her videos, and she has made a lot of other videos as well, of course, promoting the diet which is super high on animal flesh, practically telling people of what you just said. I think she's made one video where she has spoken against bananas, and in general she talks about consuming fruits, that they are not healthy for human health, contrary to what people
Yeah.
believe, and so on and so forth. So what's your opinion about that, and how would you like to counter that?
I mean, guys, I'll be honest straight to you. I'm not like a science-based guy who goes around and reads studies.
Yeah.
I actually don't like that. I don't think is the way to go. We should always listen to the and look at the big picture. That's why I like to uh, kind of progress in my ideas through books like the China study, which is an expert that had a look at the big picture and comes to conclusions with that. So what she's doing, she's just picking on something that I don't even know if that's true,
Yeah.
because I think if I don't remember yeah, if I remember correctly, I think it's actually the opposite, because in the 80-10-10 book there is a whole comparison between omnivores, herbivores, frugivore, and humans. These are all comparison, and it shows how humans are similar
Pro-
to frugivores.
Frugivores, yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
I really don't know why she comes up with these things, and also, as I said, I'm not like a super science based guy, but it's, everyone knows that fruit, the more fruit you have inside of your diet, the healthier you are. Like, it's all over science. More fruit, less
Yeah.
diabetes, more fruit, less cancer, more fruit, less cardiovascular disease. I don't
Yeah.
know what she's talking about. And and animal products is the opposite. Like, I don't understand how there could be such a huge community that believe these people. I really don't understand.
And while Stefano was very innocent and kind in saying that he doesn't read much of the papers, but let that not be misconstrued as that what she was saying is scientific by any means. And there are
Ah,
folks who, yeah,
yeah.
I know. Otherwise, what people do will they'll just cut a reel from this, like, hey, she said something, and Stefano could not figure out, and he's saying like, I'm not big on science, and will illogically arrive at the conclusion that what she was saying is scientific. That's absolute garbage and BS that she generally talks about. And there are people from the vegan community who are into just about breaking down research papers, someone like a Dr. Matthew Nagra, and they have debunked her on multiple occasions as well, and probably invited her for a debate, but probably that never, like, she never accepted that. But yes, I mean, I don't like Stefano said, like, it's very difficult to understand how a lot of these people believe in this carnivore diet thing. I think in a very recent interview somewhere, like, one of the key persons in the carnivore movement, Dr. Sean Bakers, even said that what he has been preaching for so long, not everything is backed by science, and he kind of dodged a couple of questions around that. So yeah, I mean, it's sometimes really strange to understand how these people have reached such a level of influence, and more importantly, who are these people who are getting influenced by all of this.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I had some kind of real life experience on this.
Hmm?
One of my recent new clients
Hmm?
actually had multiple family members that got motivated into approach the carnivore diet.
Hmm?
And like he's telling me that their health markers are all very bad, but for
Hmm.
some reason they continue to follow this diet.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's yeah, I think it's the extreme of the coping mechanism that people have against veganism.
Yeah.
You know, they're trying to prove a point that they need meat and meat is good, but they are dying doing it. Bit crazy.
Yeah. And there's so much of money involved as well. Um, and some of the anecdotal evidences where I have seen people who have gone on a carnivore diet and have seen some good results. Probably a hypothesis from my side is because they cut down in doing so, at the very least they cut down on processed food, and that in itself comes with a lot of benefit, I guess. And which people probably wrongly correlate or relate it with the carnivore diet, the animal based diet. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of nonsense going around it, and I feel bad for people who actually fall for it. Like, and this is me not trying to push you towards veganism when I say this, right? I'm a hardcore animal rights activist. I'm never going to say anyone that go vegan for the health. I will always debate and pursue this from an ethics angle. But just as a just as someone who's rational and is concerned about health, I still feel bad for these people. Even if they don't go vegan, I feel bad for these people.
Absolutely, man. Like I wish there was a way to get people understand, but I don't know. It seems that they
Yeah. I
most
mean,
of the
yeah.
population is very confused.
Yeah, exactly. People are confused and then they fall for all the nonsensical stuff that's on social media. Can't help it. uh, that being said, you said that you do not consume any protein shake as well, and you of course are consuming uh, very less amount of protein than I would have anticipated, or a lot of other viewers would have anticipated. And what's your take on some of the other supplements that, in general, people should take in today's day and age, and which is especially meaningful for the vegans?
So we let's start from what I take. So I only take B12, which I stopped taking daily, like the recommended daily dose that is in the package, because my last two blood tests
Hmm.
came up with a B12 level that is too high. So
Hmm.
I just take it once per week now. But yeah, I understand that this is kind of normal because they are overdosed these supplements. So and this is and this leads us to the next thing, which is especially when it comes to vitamins and minerals, you should not be packing up your kitchen with these supplements unless you get a blood test first, right? So if you do have to take supplements, do it from a good understanding of what you actually need, because you probably find out that you don't need much, if anything. Another supplements that I started to take this year, actually, it didn't come from a blood test, so kind of a hypocrite in this. But uh, during winter time, I don't really like to go out, so I don't get a lot of sun when it's cold. So I decided to add vitamin D
Hmm.
during winter time.
Hmm.
I think it makes sense, and that's it. That's my take on what I take as supplements. Uh, the other interesting supplement that many people like to talk about is going to be creatine,
Hmm.
especially in the
Fitness.
fitness community and muscle building community. So I stopped. So I never been super consistent with creatine, or I should say that I haven't been taking it for very long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
For the longest has been 1 year, about 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I took it for 6 months about 2 years and a half ago. So creatine is supposed to increase your creatine phosphate inside of the muscle. That's going to help you recreate energies. So it increases your power output during your workouts. And here's the thing: the times in which I stopped taking creatine, I noticed that I kept getting stronger. And this is what made me think, like, I don't see this thing being a huge factor in my progression. And again, like, I prefer to get to a diet that is as much as possible made from whole food, and eliminating supplements and processed stuff and chemicals as much as possible. So following that line of thinking, I was like, you know what, I don't need this. I don't need creatine. What it does happen with creatine, though, is that it gives you a couple of extra kilograms
Mm-hmm.
for sure, because the creatine is stored together with water. And I don't know, I would say that you look a little bit puffier with creatine, but not necessarily like puffer, like bloated. You do look a little more
Rounded.
muscular, especially, yeah, especially if you have a lower body fat, but it's not a huge difference. And I did lose, as soon as I stopped creatine, I lose like two
Mm-hmm.
kilograms and a half. And I had the same, few of my clients that started with me had the same experience. I had a couple of clients that before starting with me, they were taking creatine. Then I told them not to take it because that's my approach, and they lost like 1 or 2 kilograms in a couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And how much creatine were you taking for that 1 year span per day? 5 grams.
yes, 5 grams.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, and that's it about supplements. What else? Well, there was kind of, then we can get into the kind of natural supplements and superfoods like spirulina. That's was something I was taking,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, it was coming still from that obsession from finding the perfect protein with the perfect amino acid profile, and making sure that you are getting enough vitamins and nutrients and minerals, and thinking that a specific food is going to really make a huge difference in the health outcome and in your performance when it comes to training.
Mm-hmm.
But again, over time, I moved more and more away from that mindset, and now I'm more detached from all of these details.
So essentially, you are saying that B12 is the only supplement that people should take.
Yes, and this is also something that is supported by the book, The China Study.
Yeah, and
It
also
does.
I think in general, um, yeah, B12. Like I'm in India, so we know that we have a B12 deficiency pandemic in India, and that is for everyone. Surprisingly, people talk about B12 only when it comes to vegans, but here even the people who are not vegans, vegetarians and non-vegetarians, they are also suffering from B12 deficiency, and that is one thing which probably is needed by everyone. But that being said, the supplement industry is so damn big, it's huge, right?
I, I
Would you?
wanted I wanted to say something very
Huh?
interesting about creatine that I learned from, is it Luca Fitness? Do you know the vegan fitness influencer that's very science based? He's a nutritionist. It's shredded and very muscular. Is it Luca?
Maybe I may have seen, but can't recall the name. Yeah. But anyway, what's the
Shredder.
point?
Well,
Yeah.
he's a nutritionist, and he explained to me that your creatine deposit really depends from your genetic. So for some people, actually,
Hmm.
taking creatine supplements is useless because they have already saturated their deposit of creatine phosphate.
Oh.
So yeah, that was an interesting thing to learn, that actually some people um, do not get any benefit whatsoever from creatine because they genetically have their deposit already
Yeah.
filled.
Yeah. Hmm. Like personally, I benefit from taking creatine when I go to the gym, and I feel that my lifts are getting better. And also, creatine is perhaps, not perhaps, it is the most researched supplement out there. So overall, the sentiments and feedback from uh, people who are into advanced levels of fitness, and more importantly people who like to read about research and stuff, they have a positive sentiment towards creatine. So definitely worth checking out for folks who are into strength training. But of course, be uh, please check with your nutritionist first. If you have some other underlying health conditions, then there can be some reactions, so of course do check that out. But in general, yeah, it is one of the most common and probably research supplement out there. Which brings me to the other point, that which I was saying earlier, that the supplement industry is huge, and probably the 90-95% or the large majority of the supplements out there are mostly gimmicky in nature, right? They are just there to suck money out of your pocket. Don't you think so?
Yeah, big time, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially the way they market it as well. I mean, it worked for me, right? Like when I was going through this period of tiredness,
Hmm.
um, I was thinking about lack of nutrients,
Hmm.
and they're very good at picking the way you feel and
Hmm.
making you think that because of this nutrient,
Hmm.
because of the lack of this nutrient,
Hmm.
you're feeling like that. So come and buy my supplement. They're very good, and also if you then go and actually look at what the different nutrients and minerals and vitamins do, they are always present in so many mechanism of the
Hmm.
body. So I think it's, and again, not an expert, but if I use common sense, I think it's very unlikely that you're going to be solving a problem by just
Hmm.
taking
Yeah.
a vitamin and supplement. You need to focus on nutrition and get all of your nutrient from
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there is no harm in taking vitamins and minerals as long as it's coming from a place of awareness that okay, you are consuming X, and your there are certain, there is a proof that you are lacking in something because of your blood work or something. Then of course, by all means, with the guidance of an expert, please go ahead and take that. But the supplement industry that works on this fear of missing out, that okay, you will not gain muscle if you don't consume X, you'll only feel good if you consume Y, and so on and so forth. And that is, um, in my opinion, so unethical. Like, people fall for that kind of shit.
Absolutely. And we've talked about a lot. We talked a lot about what are some misconceptions, right,
Hmm.
about building muscles. Shouldn't
Hmm.
we talk about also what's important to focus on,
Yes,
which
absolutely. So,
is
which is working out.
exactly.
Yeah.
And this is what I suggest people do. Instead of worrying about protein, if right now you're a man and you're in a place where you've been struggling to build muscle and you're still worrying about protein, um, it's hard for you to gain weight, you don't know what you have to eat. I want you to move the focus from diet to training.
Hmm.
Have you been consistent with your workouts? Because if you haven't been consistent, then you're not doing what's necessary in order to make progress. Muscle grow because they're stimulated. They are basically what you're doing when you work out. You are telling your muscle that there is this task that they have to accomplish, right? A task that they never done before, like a push-up. So you put them through this push-up, like, oh, now we need to do a push-up. Okay, this is hard. Let's prepare for it. So next time they'll be ready for the push-ups. And so you do 2 push-ups, and they don't know what's going on, right? So they need to adapt each and every workout. But if you're not consistently giving a new stimulus to the muscle, which is an increase in the volume of work. So like I just mentioned with the push-ups, you're doing 1 push-ups, and then you're doing 2 push-ups, and then 3 push-ups, and then 4 push-ups, and up to 10 push-ups, and then you add 10 kilograms to your push-up. So being consistent with your workouts is the first thing, of course. Like sometimes I have conversation with people that struggle to build muscles, right? And they kind of seem serious about it, like they're really struggling. So if you're really struggling, for me, you've been trying to build muscle, right? And when I ask them, so what you're doing for your workout? Oh, I do some yoga and I cycle. You're not going to build muscle through yoga and cycling. So just working out doesn't work. You have to work out in a way that stimulates the muscle to grow, and that is strength training. And it also doesn't stop at strength training, because many people think that doing the chest workout or the chest exercise is going to allow for muscle growth, but that's going to get you somewhere. But what really makes your chest and muscle grow is a consistent progression over time. So you need to get stronger consistently in order to get results. And if you start focusing on that, and if you start to understand how it works, you start getting good in applying it and getting stronger session after session, you will see that it's not about nutrition. Actually, I suggest you increase your fruit intake. So you actually start doing this on a lower protein intake, and you will see that you will build muscle, and you can go around and tell people that they are wrong about having to eat a high amount of protein to build muscle. You will be the living proof.
But at the very least, one needs to be at a calorie surplus, right?
Second?
At the very least, one needs to be at a calorie surplus to build muscles, right?
No, that's also not correct. Especially for beginners. Okay, it makes sense for advanced lifter, but for beginners, you can easily lose fat and build muscle at the same time. So you can be in a caloric deficit, and like basically, I can easily say that 100% of my clients did that, because they all somewhat beginners. They all have some fat to lose, and they want to build muscle. The first thing I do is putting them in a caloric deficit. We increase the fruit intake. And by the way, I often have a very good feedback from doing a deficit with a high fruit intake. They're like, oh, I'm going to eat only 2,000 calories. They start like being a little bit scared. But then after a few days, they realize, you know what, like I'm eating a lot of food, actually. I'm eating a lot of fruit, and these feel better than I thought. So I put them in a caloric deficit, and we apply progressive overload within the workout, increasing the repetitions, increasing the sets. And in a period of 4 months, in average, my client that actually follows the plan usually loses about 10 up to 15 millimeters of abdominal fat, let's say 10% body fat.
Mm.
and they build usually a minimum of 3 kilograms of muscle, sometimes more, sometimes 4. It
Mm.
depends. So no, you don't need to be in a caloric deficit, but
Mm.
once you get closer to your genetic ceiling, which your genetic ceiling doesn't only mean your ability to build muscle, but also your ability to get stronger, which obviously they are strictly related. Um, but yeah, so in order to build muscle, you need to get stronger. And if you're already advanced, you probably you're probably not going to have the energies to get stronger during the workout if you're doing
Mm.
a caloric deficit. Um, so you don't need a caloric surplus though. You can try your best to eat at maintenance, so you don't have to put on extra fat.
Mm.
But something that I've learned, um, in especially in the last 2 years, is that you really need to allow your body to not be in a caloric deficit for a certain period of time in order to feel good, and get stronger.
Mm.
Because something that I was falling into in the past was over stressing about being shredded. I was going
Mm.
in and out of caloric deficit. But here's the thing, that's unhealthy.
Mm.
That's unhealthy. You're not going to feel good and stable with your energy levels. It's going to be more difficult to get stronger, especially if you're advanced. So this is what bulking is for me now, is kind of allowing yourself to get a little fatter and get some extra fat on you
Mm. Mm.
if it becomes difficult for you to just stay at maintenance, right? So you try to be at maintenance and follow your calories, but if you are like me that you tend to have extra snacks and so
Mm.
you're going to eat in a caloric surplus as a consequence and you put some fat on,
Mm.
you need to forget about you need to be okay with it
Mm.
for some time. I
Mm.
would say you should be doing a deficit for maximum 4 months
Mm. And how
during
much? How
during
much
the year.
deficit? How much deficit are we talking here?
When I do it, I try to go hard and do like a 1,000 calories deficit. But for my
Oh,
clients, I do 500. But when I do
1,000.
it, I try to go hard. Yeah, I want to go fast. I want to lose the fat fast.
Mm. And of course, 1,000 calorie deficit is definitely going to take a toll on your mental health as well. Like you said, one would feel low on energy, and that will impact as well.
Yeah, big time, definitely.
Mm. All right. Yeah. So for new folks, of course, they can gain because they are lifting for the first time. But people who have been doing for some time, like someone like yourself, or even like someone who has been, let's say, lifting consistently for 2+ years, or even 1+years for that matter, then they have to be around the maintenance and probably a slight surplus to gain muscle, and in the process will gain some fat as well.
You mean beginners?
No, not beginners. People who have been working out for 2 years or consistently for, let's say, 2 years.
Um, yeah, I mean, you should be testing
Hmm.
and see, because again, when it comes to my own experience as well, is not that when I do a caloric deficit, I haven't been able to get stronger. Like most of the time, I would say that I actually
Hmm.
managed to do that. And
Hmm.
but yeah, like if see what works for you, just test. The most important thing is that you do not over stress about being shredded all the time, because
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
going to create an unhealthy relationship with food,
Hmm.
and and making you feel not your best most of the time. So it's not, like what I'm trying to say here is that it's not about muscles, it's about health. It's
Yeah, of
about
course.
health and feeling good both physically and
Hmm.
mentally. Because I mean, like, you can,
Hmm.
but probably with a deficit of 1000 calories is a little bit more difficult. But if you're doing a deficit that is 500
Hmm.
calories,
Hmm.
and you have already 5% body fat to lose, you probably still feel good to do your workout and get stronger, you know.
Hmm.
But of course, once you start getting very low in body fat,
Hmm.
like 10%, something like that,
Hmm.
then you probably start feeling a little bit more tired, and it's going to be
Hmm.
more difficult for you to get stronger.
And I think 10% body fat is going to be more than enough for most of the folks, unless someone is planning for competitive bodybuilding, etc. I think that's really a good place to be in, even like somewhere near 15% for that matter. So, Stefano, wanted to ask you about your activism. So, of course, you do online. What other types of activism do you do?
As I mentioned in the beginning, my first action was with Anonymous for the Voiceless, and
Hmm.
even though I did my own thing during these years as well, I am now back with Anonymous for the Voiceless since probably 3 years and a half now.
Hmm.
Yeah. So Anonymous for the Voiceless bring to the streets what's missing in society, which is holding non-vegans accountable.
Accountable. Hmm.
We have at this point, 2025, so much information online. Like, people know, like, people have
Hmm.
seen videos on Slaughterhouse. What they're missing is someone that reminds them that,
You are wrong.
uh,
Hmm.
yeah, that's happening because of you. You
Hmm.
are responsible for that. And so, for the people who don't know Anonymous for the Voiceless, we go on the street with the screens showing slaughterhouse footage and standard
Hmm.
farming practices, and we have conversation with the people
Hmm.
that stop by. So I organized the events in south of Spain.
Hmm.
So my city is Malaga,
Hmm.
and I'm also the regional organizer for the country of Italy. So I manage the different chapters and activist group in Italy.
Interesting. What is the craziest reaction that you have had while doing street outreach?
I think the the craziest reaction is that which is something that I don't understand, is when people try, when I tell them, I don't want to talk to them anymore because they already showed me
Hmm?
they don't care about animals. So
Hmm?
I'm trying to close the conversation by, like, listen, man, you don't get this. You don't care about animals. You're consuming animal products and you're using them for your benefit. So I
Hmm?
don't want to talk to you. And they keep coming to me and they follow me around, trying to explain me why they are right. But but lions and what would you do in the desert islands? Like, man, leave me alone. I don't understand what happens in this people's brain. So I'm obviously an animal rights activist trying to defend animals. Like, do you think I'm going to change my mind? What's going on? Um, so yeah, I think this is one of the craziest thing that happened for me. To be honest, is I really don't understand what's up in people's brain.
Interesting, man. I ask this question to almost everyone, and probably this is one of the most unique perspective that someone has presented to me. That you are disengaging. That okay, now I don't want to interact with you. I know that probably you are a psychopath or one in the making. Please get away. And then people are following you to justify themselves. No, no, no. Please don't judge me. Please don't think of me as someone immoral. I am doing this because X, Y, Z. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, no, and that's very powerful. As you said, like, they don't want to feel guilty, right? So
Hmm.
they keep trying to rationalize and trying to make sense around their
Hmm.
action of
Hmm.
not wanting to change.
Hmm.
but it's important for an animal rights activist to maintain a firm position
Hmm.
and not validate their feeling and their desire
Hmm.
to feel justified and feel validated by us, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
It's very,
And
very, very important because when we do animal rights activism, what we want to do is stop the scroll. You know, in
hmm.
marketing, this is what you say when you do a good post. You want to get people to stop the scroll and being interested in in what you say.
Hmm.
And when we do animal activism, we need to do that in society.
Hmm.
We need to be impactful and breaking this reality in which they live in, where they think that they are doing everything right and they're
Hmm.
not doing things wrong,
Hmm.
right? And the only thing to do that, the only way to do that is to be firm
Hmm.
and be clear that animals are not here for us. It's unjust to exploit them. And
Hmm.
if they're not vegan,
Hmm.
it's their fault. What happens to animals? What they're seeing in the screens.
Hmm. Hmm. And you said that you disengage after a certain point. Like, do you have any particular formula or any particular um, framework where you decide that okay, now is this conversation is not going to yield anything productive? I have to disengage.
Yeah, that's a good question. Is It's always different and difficult to understand, I would say, because as an animal rights activist, you want to find a balance between protecting your energies and
Hmm.
feeling not feeling drained
Yeah.
by people that are trying to troll you or they sincerely don't care about animals. But at the same time, you need to use and spend some time with people because perhaps they just need to be guided in the right
Hmm.
direction and then they would change.
Hmm.
So it's actually very difficult to understand when people is genuine and when they're not. So usually if they go in a circle of excuses
Hmm.
is because they're not reachable. It's
Hmm.
useless to talk to them. Whether
Hmm.
it's the same excuse but just presented in a different way. Like for example, oh, but there is a good way to do it.
Hmm.
How would you like to be exploited? I know, but
Hmm.
my grandmother.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay. Would you feel respected if you were an animal murdered by your grandmother?
Hmm.
But I know this other person that okay, disengage. Um, and sometimes I also like to clarify when I feel like someone is falling into this circle of excuses. I like to ask a question that might clarify their position. So, do you think that animals are here to serve you, or are
Hmm.
they individuals and they're here
Hmm.
just living in this world with you?
Hmm.
And of course, if someone would answer me that they think they are resources and it is normal to use animals for our benefit, I would disengage, making sure that I leave a strong message that they are being oppressors
Hmm.
and it isn't just to exploit animals because it's completely unnecessary and animals
Hmm.
are deserve to be free of exploitation.
Hmm. Interesting. And so that is essentially your marker there that okay, um, this person has clearly or explicitly said that animals are here to serve us. I mean, it's very difficult to break through them. So yeah, I mean, there could be a case that if you would have chosen to talk to the person, it could have resulted into something positive. But then, of course, it's very difficult for you or anyone to know that how this conversation will end. And like you rightly said, that you at the same time you see your time and energy as a valuable resource, and there's only so much uh, of it you can spend on activism. So you make that judgment on your side that okay, this conversation probably will not end up in the right direction, so let me disengage and move to the next person.
Exactly. Like something interesting that happened
Hmm.
few weeks ago was a conversation with a girl. So we started the conversation, and I asked her, what do you think about humans exploiting animals?
Hmm.
And yeah, she was like very. She was kind of pushing the conversation forward, like I know, yeah, yeah, this is very bad. I know, I know.
Hmm.
She was kind of rushing the conversation and trying to not get me speak.
Hmm.
And and she was like, yeah, I understand this, understand this. Okay, I said, so you understand it, okay? And do you understand that what happens to animals and happens because of you if you consume animal products?
Hmm.
And she's like, you're being very, very rude to me and very aggressive. I think you could have taken this conversation in a different way. And I told her, but look, I'm just being direct and truthful to you. Do you understand that when you consume animal products, behind it, there's going to be animal exploitation? Animals are tortured,
Hmm.
animals are being killed. I just think that you're not being nice, she told me.
Hmm.
And so at that point, I didn't understood if she was being genuine,
Hmm.
or if if she was trying to deflect. So I was like, okay,
Hmm.
um, how would you like me to approach the conversation?
Hmm.
Okay, what would you like me to say? She's like, oh, you could have asked me, how do I feel about this topic, animal exploitation? That's the first question I've asked. And so in that moment, I realized that she was indeed just trying to deflect the conversation, and I disengaged.
Yeah. 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 Not only deflect, but also uh, trying to shoot the messenger, saying that, hey, the way you are talking, it's disrespectful, calling you disrespectful, so that the conversation is not really about animals, but about you and how you are delivering the message, and so on and so forth. I mean, it's very difficult because people, when they are hit with cognitive dissonance, um, they have different kinds of reaction, and this being one of them, where they try to attack the messenger. So one thing which I use in such situation, like people sometimes tell me, hey, I get veganism, but the way you people are doing this is not going to work. You have to be polite and everything. So I asked them, okay, sir or ma'am, please tell me, what should I say at this moment that will make you go vegan? I'll do that. You
Ever.
tell
Yeah.
you tell me. So they say, no, no, I will not go vegan because I have my this and that and all of. Then that happens. So essentially, then why should I listen to you on how should I do activism? If you can't tell me a method by which I should be talking to you so that you go vegan, I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll say, you want me to dance in front of you? I'll do that. Whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
people people like to go on different tangents when it comes to these topics and being dishonest. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
100%. That's actually a good way to screen
yeah.
people and understand if they're open, or they're just trying to waste your time.
Hmm.
And another similar question would be, maybe someone is really focused on the fact that you cannot get protein on a plant-based diet, or you cannot be healthy on a plant-based diet. You could ask them, okay, so if we would discover that you can actually be healthy on a plant-based
Yeah.
diet, would you
Yeah.
go vegan?
Yeah.
Right? And also this question
Yeah.
will show you what kind of person you're talking to. If someone that's just throwing at you excuses to deflect from their responsibility, or if perhaps they're actually genuine and they have some doubts, and perhaps they would change if those doubts are cleared.
Yeah. All right. But
How
I
how do you do
doubt
your activism?
me. So I do street activism. I also deliver lectures in colleges. I do online activism. So yeah, these are the three main things. I also do debates online from time to time. So yeah. So street
Nice.
activism, and when I do street activism, I ensure that I document that for content purpose as well. So I'm one of the first activists based out of India who was putting out content from street activism. There were others who were doing it, but then I like just started recording them, inspired by all the Western activists like Joey Armstrong, Earthling, etc. So yeah, interesting discoveries on street when we talk to people, and different types of reaction. Also, one thing which I've noticed, like the hatred online is much easier because you're not talking to the person. It's easier to be disrespectful to someone on in the comment section. People can say mean stuff, but face to face it's very difficult for people to say mean stuff, right? Like not everyone can be as aggressive as they are online. So I think it's much real conversation when you do it face to face on street with neutral people who are not thinking about veganism, and suddenly they have this conversation and uh, checking their ethical consistency. So, and one thing I wanted to check, because now you are a full time trainer. How do you deal with before that? Like, do you take non vegan clients? And if yes, how do you deal with
No,
them? Oh no, you don't.
no, no. I don't take non-vegan clients for the simple reason that I put animal rights first. So I am an animal rights activist first,
Mm,
and then I'm a business owner. So through my marketing, the
mm,
vegan message is clear. And
mm,
if I happen to reach out to a non-vegan for a business conversation, looking for clients, or they reach out to me,
mm,
that's one of my first questions. Are you vegan? Yes, no. If they aren't vegan, I run them through the Anonymous for the Voiceless protocol. Are you against animal exploitation? Have you ever watched animal agricultural footage? I'll send them the don'twatch.org link.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. What
you
if
think it's
someone tells
possible
you,
to?
yeah, no, I get it that you're doing activism with them, and what if someone says, hey Stefano, I get it that I'm an animal exploiter, I am inconsistent, I don't give a damn about animals, but I like your physique, your training protocols, I've heard good reviews from other vegans, I want to hire you despite all of this. Then what do you say?
Yeah, no. I
Interesting.
say no. I say no,
Interesting.
and like I put it on. Also, I put it on a different perspective as well.
Hmm,
So when I do this, I am not that pushy, let's say. So what I want
hmm,
to get from people is openness and authenticity in the
hmm,
approach that they have to the message, right?
hmm,
So I do not focus too much on the urgency,
hmm,
right? In the sense that you need to be vegan right now in the moment we have the conversation, because the more you're not a vegan, the more animals will be exploited
hmm,
because of you. I mean, I actually do say that, but I do not push it to the limits. I just want people to be honest and be willing to be vegan. And
hmm,
at that point, I will allow them to get to the next step, which would be a
hmm,
call with me. And on the call, we will touch on it again, understanding a little bit better what's their position, and also making them understand that being vegan is just in line. First of all, is part of my program,
hmm, hmm,
that they have to be vegan, but also that it's in line with the kind of man that they want to become. A
hmm,
man that is strong and is able to take decisions based
hmm,
on their value, and they are not
hmm.
exploiting the weaker for a benefit. So not being vegan is just not in line with the new version of themselves that they want to be.
Wow, that's really interesting, man. So essentially, you are not, I mean, you're not just transforming them physically, but it's like a filter that you have put, which probably from a business standpoint is not so good, or maybe it is because you are
Probably.
niche. Yeah, you are
I don't
entering a niche
know.
or
Yeah,
whatever.
I
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
but but still, you are telling people that, hey, like after the end of the program with me, I just don't want you to look good or feel healthy or be healthy, but at the same time I want you to go through this ethical transformation as well. That's really interesting, man. I genuinely appreciate you for doing that. I did not imagine any fitness influencer or fitness trainer or coach doing this. So really appreciate that.
Yeah, man. I think, and I want to be an example of that as well.
Mm,
You know, I want people in general to stop doing everything from a selfish point
mm,
of view,
mm,
and doing things with some altruistic goal in mind, even if
mm,
it's in their journey of becoming very successful,
mm, mm,
giving some priority, to causes that are more important than just,
mm,
getting clients and making money and being successful.
mm. Very true. Very true. And unfortunately, not a lot of people think from this direction. And I'm so glad that you are doing it and is a living example of that. Coming back to the street outreach, I just had this query, which is funny to me. That do people ever tell you that we can't get enough protein or we can't get big? Like I get it, to an average vegan, they will say that, but do people say that to you as well?
Well, actually, it doesn't happen. It doesn't, especially during summertime when I have when
T-shirts. Yeah.
my arms. Yeah, exactly. I've got my arms visible. It actually does not happen much. Um, Sometimes it happens, but yeah, they are shocked when I flex and I make them touch my bicep. But sometimes the people are really coping very hard. It could happen, and unfortunately, I don't remember exactly the conversation, but this guy was convinced that, like, if you don't eat meat, you're not strong. But
Mhm,
and, I don't remember the conversation, but I was a little bit upset. I remember it was not
mhm,
a nice conversation,
mhm,
and he was, 160 centimeters, and I don't know,
mhm.
55 kilograms. Like, mm, man, I'm much stronger than you. I was like, no, you're. I was like, you're not stronger than me. Like, I weigh
Let's
probably 20 kilograms more than you. My arms are double yours.
let's
And
do
he was like,
push-ups.
yeah. It was very feeling very offended, and looking like he was convinced that he was stronger than me. So yeah, like people brain mechanism really go crazy when they start feeling guilty.
Yeah. Yeah, because it would be really funny. I think you should definitely try that type of content where you go out on street, wear a hoodie, which is like triple X or double X, like look a baggy hoodie, and
Mm.
talk to people and give them that type of appearance that you are really weak and have a conversation, and then just take off your hoodie and show, hey, do I look weak or something of those things. That would be really cool.
Yeah, I get the concept. I get the concept.
Yeah, you should definitely try that out. And probably another idea, if you haven't already thought about it, you should definitely try this out because you're already into calisthenics. You should ask people for a push-up challenge or a pull-up challenge. Can you beat a vegan with push-ups? Something of those sort. That would be like really cool.
I will put that on the list.
Yes, has the potential to go uh, viral as well. Nice, man. I think I've covered so much already there. Even though, like, I would like to spend more time about your fitness and stuff, but yeah, in the interest of time, we'll end the discussion here. But I just want to say first and foremost that thank you so much for what you are doing. My respect for you has gone multiple levels up after I learned the fact that you are not only an animal rights activist, but you are also inculcating that in the way you make money, and you you are transforming people. It's a very different type of activism that I've ever uh, that I'm hearing for the first time, that you are telling your clients that you have to be a vegan, and this is the transformation that I want you to go through, and that is so damn powerful, man. So lots of respect for you for that. And
And I
yeah,
want to say thank you to
yeah,
my brand new business partner, Marco Fabio,
okay.
who's also an animal rights activist himself, and he brought this kind of more empathic approach towards mm, a possible client, because I was much more strict. I was
Hmm.
like, I was not giving any chance to have a conversation with me to people that didn't want to go vegan on the spot. But it's actually Marco Fabio that opened my eyes to this way of presenting
Hmm.
veganism to them as well as part of
Hmm.
their transformation
Hmm.
towards a stronger man.
Hmm.
Uh, and I really like this approach as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Nice. um, I want you to give two messages, one for the vegans who are watching this and one for non-vegans.
Thank you, because I have a good message for vegans.
Hmm.
I understand that not everyone has got a strong character and can put themselves out there with this direct message telling people they're doing something wrong, because you
Hmm.
will get a backlash from people. You will have to get into
Hmm.
debate. It might be difficult. Okay, not everyone has got this character.
Hmm.
However, it is not right to dilute the message and water the message,
Hmm.
because often I hear vegans presenting, for example, veganism and vegetarians together. Like it
Hmm.
is okay to be vegetarian,
Hmm.
or um, or that it is even better to just be an example rather than holding people accountable for their actions.
Hmm.
Again, I understand that you might don't have the character to really have these direct conversations with people, but even though you don't have this strength, please maintain the vegan message clear and direct,
Hmm.
that there is no right way to exploit animals. That is not about reducing the suffering of animals,
Hmm.
but is about don't use animals at all. Don't see them as
Hmm.
object, as resources, but
Hmm.
see them as individuals at all time, and never condone the exploitation of animals any any level. Another
Exactly.
message
Yeah.
for
No, that.
non-vegans, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But before that, that is like such an important piece of message. And one thing is, like you said, that people, not everyone may have the characteristics or the traits to get into conversations and activism, because that requires a certain skill set, a certain type of attitude. But that is perfectly fine. Not everyone has to do the talking as well, right? There are so many ways in which you can contribute to the movement, right? For example, you are working for anonymous, you were working with the anonymous for the voiceless, and I'm sure that not everyone there is out there talking to the public. There are so many other ways, like handling their social media pages, etc., where how you can contribute. So do that. But yeah, that is like such a damn important message, that veganism as a social justice movement should be presented for what it is, and should never be diluted. We don't want the seriousness of the issue to come down just because we are trying to convince the other person, trying to win them over. I mean, of course it's a good thing that they go vegan, but yeah, it has to, the message has to be clear, right? So that is very important, that animals are not commodities or resources for human consumption. So yeah, very well said. And yeah, one piece of message for the non-vegans.
Well, if you find yourself finding justifications not to go vegan, the only thing that I'm going to ask you is to see all of these justification from the victim perspective,
Hmm.
because it's very easy to justify your action from the oppressor point of view,
Hmm.
right? It's you that are in a position of decision.
Hmm.
So I want you to put yourself in the victim position. Imagine you are one of those cows that is
Hmm.
about to be slaughtered. Someone is trying to cut your throat, right? Would the justification that you're using not to go vegan be enough for you to be like, okay, yeah, no problem, cut
Hmm.
my throat, I'm good, you're right. And please do that. And if you are a rational, honest, and good person, you will understand that
Hmm.
the only right thing to do is to go vegan right now.
Absolutely. Think from the victim's perspective. And it's very well put that it's easy to rationalize these type of exploitation as long as you think from your position of privilege and from the oppressor's perspective. So, very well put, Stefano. And I hope this was a nice conversation for you.
Absolutely, yeah, I loved it, man. I'm very,
Yeah.
very excited
Yeah.
to be here, and I hope I was valuable to everyone.
I'm sure you were. At least to me, I really enjoyed this conversation. I wish I had more time today because I wanted to discuss so many other things. In fact, the list that I have right now, I have only ticked like 50% of the topics. There's more that I wanted to discuss, but probably we'll do another part for this some other time. But yeah, thank you so much, Stefano, for sparing time today and joining me and sharing valuable insights with our audience. And until we meet again, this is thanks to all the viewers who have tuned in, and we'll catch up next episode. Yeah.
Bam! Oh yeah, look at you. Got some
Yeah.
guns going on there.
Yeah. Yeah. Inspired by you, but yeah.